Welcome back to Her Purpose, a podcast for women in real estate. We are here today to talk a little bit about time boundaries. This one I can't wait for because we just finished a 3-part podcast on the fruit of the Spirit. So I think it's going to be really cool while that's fresh in our brains, especially to see how these tie in, but also because I have a special relationship with time, mostly in the form of time blindness and how long is something
Girl.
going to take me and how long does it take to get there. But also then when you add the boundaries in, I was the person 4 years ago who, when I started, 100% had not a boundary, not one. I was going to, if I saw a text at 3:00 in the morning because I got it to go to the bathroom and I checked my phone, I was going to answer it. So Erin, lead us in. Tell us what you got.
So I am super eking out on this. And quick backstory. I used to own a brokerage, co-own a brokerage. I had 75 agents at the height of my career. Darren and I were selling 40 million a year before I got sick. And so I had a pretty big business, right? And had a pretty big brokerage and all the things. And I definitely subscribe to the worldly lie that we need to be available all day, every day, jump how high, right? And I had started to have some boundaries in place. Like I didn't start work till 10 so that I could have a little time for myself or space. And then I started taking off Tuesdays because Tuesdays seemed like an easy day to stay off. So I wouldn't say I started with absolutely no boundaries. And that's basically what they tell you to do. I started off at Keller Williams. Keller Williams has a lot of great things, but a lot of things that are absolutely not for how me and how I do my business. And so I was just very much in eating from the hustle culture, like that's what I was subscribing to. And the hidden cost there that I started to see was that I had no margin, no rest. I was always working mentally. We had all of these resources to vacation, and our family loves to travel. And we did travel, we did. And I just never had any brain freedom. Like it would take me days on a vacation to, and then I swear I would, and then when you're selling 40 million a year, let's say you've got 10 or more contracts going at a time, there was just always something and there was just no freedom there. Also, for those if you haven't been following long, I'm re-entering selling. So I've been out for about 4 years from a major health crisis. Please listen to the Get to Know Me podcast. And in there, I met God. So I've known God about 3.5 years. God found me in a moment of desperation. And I was like, I'm not re-entering real estate. I really didn't think I would. I always joked that I was like, I'll sell Jesus hats. For whatever reason, that was my thing. Like, tell me what you want me to do. I could sell houses. I'll do Jesus hats. I'll do something. And I think in my head, I was like, put me somewhere different that has more boundaries because my marriage is healed. I don't think I was doing horrible with my kids. I really don't. I hope that they didn't know that my brain wasn't always there, but I was always there, right? Even if my brain wasn't. But I've improved so much from then, right? To feeling real presence with them and giving them more time. So I've also like had some tension re-entering, right? So like probably just in the last 3 to 4 months has God really been showing me that this is where I'm going to be. I think we've had 7 contracts in the last couple of months, which from going from maybe selling a house a month has been more. And it's all mostly here in South Carolina. And so yeah, I'm just really excited to dig into this, Ruthie. And the cool thing here that I think will be a good, like, I don't know if dichotomy is the right word, but I have a 10 and a 12-year-old, right? So I am in the thick of sports, school activities, whatever, right? I've got a healing marriage. So I've really got to put maybe even more energy into that. I'm not in a maintenance space in my marriage yet. And I'm new to God, right? God's new to me. 3.5 years. I mean, I guess I'm not a baby Christian anymore, but I have so much to learn. And I really want to be at church every Wednesday and every Sunday. And now I'm starting a Bible study with my church this Monday. And so different from you though, Ruthie, right? So you're in a different season. And so, and you started off kind of the wrong way, but you pretty more quickly than this is my 12th year in business. More quickly, you've seemed to be like, whoa, this stinks. I'm not going to work 7 days a week, nights and weekends, all day, every day.
No. Well, I had the advantage too of knowing myself enough that say it would have been around 30 years ago, maybe a little more, 32 years ago, that I thought I'd really like to go into real estate, But then the more I looked into it, I knew I wouldn't be able to be the mom I wanted to be and the agent I would want to be at the same
Mhm.
time. I just knew that wasn't me. The other thing was that we had to have income. we were we were very young and we had had a child very soon in our marriage. We did, barely 2 years married when we had our first kid, and we needed both of our incomes. So for me to step aside and build up a real estate income, and then there was no online back then, by the way, y'all. This has been so far back. There was no online. No, no, no,
Uh-huh.
no, no. In fact, one of my favorite shows on TV at the time was it was a local TV station. And one of my favorite things was it was just showing you pictures of real estate, and somebody was narrating basically what was written in the book that
Mhm.
you had to go get somewhere to see what was for sale. So doing it part-time then wasn't really an option. So thankfully, I think I had that. I had a little bit of knowing myself enough even at that young age to know that I couldn't do the two things at the same time very well. So I think that I did have some boundaries in place when I
Mhm.
did start real estate. I think I did already have some boundaries in place concerning my family, my kids, my husband, the fact that I like to cook meals, working out. Whereas I think if I had started earlier, I probably wouldn't have quite had those boundaries. And I may have had to go through something totally different to get to where I am now.
Well, and I mean, right, I literally started real estate when my first daughter was 1 year old,
Right?
right? And I started it like most people
Yeah.
do because I was a speech therapist,
Mhm.
and speech therapists don't make that much money, and I was
Mm-mm.
driving across the border from Colorado to Cheyenne, Wyoming because I can make, like, instead of 40,000, I can make 60,000.
Mhm.
And I was just had decided, like, I wanna be more available for my kids,
Right.
and like most people who say they enter real estate to have more freedom, there is a different level of freedom, but I'm gonna tell you, I probably had more time and a mental freedom being a speech therapist, and
Right.
so but I wanna transition that into right? So just know Ruthie and I are very
Mhm.
different places, but each of you women should be able to see yourself in it. So I've been an agent the entire time my kids were
Mhm.
growing up, and Ruthie waited till they were grown up, right?
Yeah.
And I definitely didn't have foresight as you did,
Right.
right? Into like, this isn't the right time. But I've been digging into like why boundaries matter. And this Bible verse, I think might be my Bible verse for the year, but it's First Corinthians 14:33. And it's the beginning where it's for God is not a God of disorder, but of
Mm.
peace, right? Just think about, those what would Jesus do bracelets. Would Jesus be running around like a chicken with his head cut off, working all day, all night at a frantic pace like a Tasmanian devil? No, I don't think he would
No.
be. So why
Absolutely
are
not.
we? And I'm going to ask you ladies a question. And when I was preparing for this, I was like, this is going to gut punch some of you
Mm.
if you really think about it. And so, what would your calendar show you in regards to your priorities? What would your calendar show you is your priority? Just think about it for a second. Like, it might be a gut punch to some people because if you would have used to have seen my calendar, it would have been work, 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 kids, work, kids, 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 work. And then my husband barely existed on there, right? And because I think there's a lot of people who think, or even that Ruthie and I have talked to, who are saying, "Oh yeah, I'm in
Mm.
alignment. I'm in alignment. God's
Mm-mm.
first, my family second, then
Mm.
my work is third." Literally look at your calendar for this week. And we've got a holiday week coming up, right? So this
Right.
is getting recorded coming into the 4th of July. Really, what does your calendar say? I think that'll be a really great place for everybody to start here is to just go
Right.
retroactively back into your calendar. And we're in summer, right? So likely this should be more family kid heavy because we
Right.
have kids home, we have family, right? We're traveling things. Or are you just because real estate is also a summer business? Have you lost out the time that you could have more time with your family?
Right.
Um, but what I want us to think about here is that boundaries create peace,
Yeah.
right? Which is a fruit of the spirit. I think boundaries
Right.
absolutely help with peace. They help
Mhm.
with clarity,
Mhm.
right? And clarity to me totally attaches to alignment. I'm going to be clear on what's important to me. And they help with consistency, right? Because this
Mhm.
business will eat you alive. I had only sold houses, I guess it would have been 7 or 8 years when my health crisis hit. And I was already like, okay, I don't need to do this again because it ate me alive. right? And I had
Yeah.
all of the success from the outside. This is what people dream about, right? I couldn't
Right.
imagine selling that many houses, and you owned your own company and blah, blah, blah. And on the inside, it was just eating me alive. And so when you think about boundaries, so if we're going to start with boundaries, I think the first step is being honest with what's on our calendar,
Mhm.
right? And if you looked at your calendar today, is it God, family, and business? Or what order are you in? But when you think about it, Ruthie, like, is there a boundary that God is calling you to change? Is there something that God is highlighting for you that is still out of alignment for your calendar that might produce more fruits if you dealt with it?
Mm. I don't know that it's a time boundary. I think in the long run, it is a time boundary. So we just had the podcast, it's out now, where I gave up the $60,000 commission, but I spent 9 months with those people.
Mhm.
I think that it is a time boundary in the long run, but after my husband listened to that podcast episode, he came home and he said, "I think that they cost us more than we realized that they cost us." We have to we have to recognize faster when these people are gonna be this way. Because in the
Mhm.
last year, and for some reason this morning, not even thinking about podcasting and what we were gonna talk about, but, for some reason this year or this morning, I was thinking, I've had 3 really difficult clients in the last year that have just sucked the life out of me. Um, what were the things that I could have seen with each one of those to keep me from having going through the things that I went through, which in effect, my husband went through, my kids went through. So my thought on that is, what are the boundaries that I need to put up to recognize that somebody is not a good match for me so that they do not become a problem with my time and therefore a problem with my husband and the rest of my family and my working out or just the peace that I have in my life.
Well, absolutely. And I think that this is a really good transition into that because I think if we're really clear with our boundaries up front, it will help us
Mhm.
identify if people are not right for us. Because had these people had fit into your time boundaries, which I know they didn't, right? Because
They did. Not
right,
none
they're
of the
eking
3.
into
Y
your 9 months, they're eking into your life too much. They're eking into that dinner you had with your husband where you weren't
Right.
able to be fully present. And so I'm excited to just talk about some practical things. And you're gonna have to get bold
Well,
here because
let's
I
let's go. Let's go because let's be honest, there was one that I had, if people can hear something in the background and it sounds like a dog barking, it is my dog. I don't know why. She seems to be fine. She's just over here making noise. I'm sorry, y'all. Um,
hey,
so
this is a real life podcast. You
real
know,
life podcast. My little dog, who's normally quiet, is just over here making noise. She's okay. She's leaving us, thankfully. Okay, so real life. Let's go back to
because
one of
I'm curious. Let's talk about these and be
right,
like, "Hey, if I would have done this with these clients, would I have teased them out earlier?"
right.
And I'm gonna call on you ladies to be bold
Bold.
and to
Oh
have trust
gosh.
and faith in our Lord because it was so interesting. God is connecting us with so many cool new people. We're newer to
Mhm.
South Carolina. We've lived here just 3 years, and just the people in real estate He's connecting us with, and there's this really lovely couple that lives here in town, and they have a really great name in the business, and they're a high producing couple, and we had a little, coffee with them and just told them about how we're re-entering business and we've got all these time boundaries. And they were like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know if I could do that because I'd be worried that I'd lose business." And I think that that is just such a prominent lie in our industry that if we put boundaries in place, we will lose business. And now, may we not get every client, absolutely. But for those 9 months in that amount of time, if you would have nurtured other things, how would it have shaken out, right? So we can't always look at it as a client that we don't get. That could be God's protection and being able to open your hands for maybe even more. Maybe if you would have known earlier, more than 60,000 would have come in. We don't know, but that's where I'm going to really challenge you ladies here is just to say this is starting tomorrow. This is starting with my next client, and I'm going to trust and believe in God that He wants these boundaries in my business. And so
Mhm.
we're going to just start with some really practical steps. And so I'm going to call this communicate your time expectations everywhere. And so I'm going to pull up if you're watching online, and I'm actually going to do a whole little bonus episode on your contact card. But I've pulled up on here my contact card. Okay. And so I'm going to dig into more of this on a next episode. But when you think contact card, I'm an Apple user, right? So this is when I meet a client, I'm going to send them over my contact card so they save it. But what you'll see is at the bottom here of my screenshots, I have my office hours. So it says in my contact card, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, Saturdays by appointment only, closed on Sundays for time sensitive matters. Contact my assistant, Christy, and here's her contact info. Okay. And so that goes over. So, because I don't ever want anybody to just save my contact card. I want them, or just to save, me as Erin or whatever, because we just talked in the last episode about people not reusing us. So I want them to
Right.
save my contact card as I send it. And so it's in my contact card. Now I'll also show you here my email signature, just so you guys are like, oh, she is really walking the walk. Okay. So in my let's see, let's go to sent. In my guess what? In my email signature, right under my picture, it has my office hours, 9 to 5, Saturdays by appointment only, and closed on Sundays. Okay. And so that's another way that it is just coming through. My assistant has this at the bottom of hers. I have it in mine. And then if you use a calendar booking link, like if you send a calendar booking link to your clients, to book a listing appointment or showings, if you do, it should go in there. And it gets discussed in my buyer and seller consultation. So I actually have a page in my buyer seller booklet that I make for them that has my schedule. And it says, this is when I work and this is when I don't. And so I can link that below so I don't keep messing up with the technology today, but it goes in there. So I have a place in my appointment so I don't forget to talk about it, because it's
Right.
important enough for me that I have an entire page in my booklet that goes over my hours. And this is where it gets real cool. And you might get a little spice or shade from the other agent. If you are offering on a house, or if I am sending you over an offer, so whether you're the buyer's agent or I'm the buyer's agent or listing agent, vice versa, in my first communication with the agent, because I have everything that I do in an email template. So, hey, I'm excited to have offer this great offer. Here's an overview of my offer, and here are my work hours. I work these hours, and I go even a step further and I say, if we have an important deadline, such as inspection, and we have not come to resolution by 5 p.m. business day, I will proactively send over an extension until tomorrow. So I am taking this to the extra level, because I don't
Mhm.
know why us realtors want to be making each other work at 7 o'clock at night, regardless if you have kids at home or not, whether you're single, married, whatever your life is, there is something better for you to be doing at 7 p.m. than working.
Right.
Right. And so I am very, very forward with it. And I have told my assistant or your TC or yourself, whoever you
Mhm.
need to tell, that you're not going to go outside of that boundary, because what happens is if you set the boundary, you must maintain the boundary. So like
Right.
I think of it as like, soldiers in a line, right? Do not cross that line. If you have put your soldiers behind the line of 5 p.m., do not answer at 6 p.m. Do not answer, right? And so you've got to look at your calendar and who is really your priority, right? Is it God,
Mhm.
family, business, or do we need to do some serious soul searching? The next thing is you're going to put it outward for everybody everywhere so that they can see it. And I am absolutely prepared. The cool thing is, guess what? I have not yet to have turned away a client, right? And said, I cannot help with those boundaries. Now I have a full-time assistant and she is willing to help me show houses after 5 p.m. and do some of those things. But it's very interesting that when you tell people your calendar after 5 p.m., Christy will be showing houses. If they want you in your time, they will adjust their schedule for you. And so it's been really, really cool to see. Now, I have not yet had to tell a client no, and I am 120% willing, and I already have a referral agent to send them to. And so you just have to be really willing to stick by what you say. So,
Mhm.
have you done any of those things in your business yet, Ruthie? Or does any of that resonate with you on how you might?
Yeah,
Add boundaries or figure out how to not get 9 months
mhm.
with a client that isn't your client.
Oh, yeah. Did anybody see any light bulbs going off above my head? So I was thinking back onto the 3 in the last year that have been so difficult, and what is a common thread through every single one of them? I went back on a boundary with every one of them
Okay.
that I had established. So with one, we'll call them the California couple. They were coming from California, and so they called me and said, "We're gonna be in town these days, and we wanna see all these houses." Well, my kids were gonna be in town that weekend, and instead of me saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry, my kids are gonna be in town that weekend, I can't do that. Would you like for me to get you another agent?" Because we had already talked about the fact that we were gonna talk about some dates that they might come, but what they ended up doing was just saying, "This is when we're coming. This is what we wanna see, so show it to us." And 100%, that should have been a red flag of, "Oh, well,
Mhm.
you didn't consult me, and guess what? My kids are gonna be in town that weekend." But instead, what I did was I got up and we started early and we finished by about lunchtime on a Saturday, and, I got to go back home to my kids when they were finally all up and moving around, but also my brain was on them. They wanted to make an offer on a house, and so I was communicating with the other agent the whole time I was with my kids.
Mhm.
So there you go. Another one, he this was just a single man. There were all kinds of things there that were boundaries, that I didn't uphold. I think I did show property with at least one or two of my kids in town one time. One day it was my birthday actually, and he wanted to see something, and so he went and saw this house on my birthday, and I'm like, "It's my birthday, what am I doing?"
Mhm.
Um, but I would say that with every single one of there was so the things that are boundaries that I have put out in my brain, but haven't upheld outside of my brain are when my kids are home, I'm not showing property. On Sundays, I go to church, and my phone is on from 9 to 4, and I'm not doing business outside of the 9 to 4.
Well, good. See,
So
look, this is maybe cathartic, right?
it
Maybe
is.
you might not
I've
have ended up having these clients, or if you would have
Right,
set the boundary and they still chose you, maybe that communication or expectation would have been different enough that
right.
maybe you would have been able to, move them out of the difficult category into somebody that you can keep. And so,
And I'll say here too, this is a little bit of people pleasing. I'm sorry, y'all, but here we go.
mhm,
So 2 of those, actually all 3 of them were a referral of some type. So the California couple, they were a referral from a good friend of mine from high school. And so I wanted to be a good agent for them to impress or to make happy my friend from high school.
right?
Right.
We got to think
Right.
about what that means. Be a good agent.
Be a good
Mhm.
exactly. The man who the single man, he was a referral from an attorney that I had worked with a good bit. What I should have done there was I should have called and said, "Why did you refer me?" Because they know lots of real estate agents in this town, and what I would have found out is that they thought I could handle him because he needed to be handled. And I was like, "Oh, well, there you go. Nobody can handle him." And then the latest, the $60,000 commission I walked away, that was a referral from another agent who didn't have time for them because of the way her business works. And did I have time for somebody to do 8 to 9 months? I did. I have time for people who are gonna take a long time, that I don't mind. It was the other stuff though. But there were some time boundaries there. He also called me 4 times in a row while I was at the gym after I'd already told him, "I can't talk right now." He would text and email at all hours of the morning and all hours of the night. So there were a lot of time. And he also pushed back on me taking them to the house that we were under contract for on this Sunday morning because I said, "I'm going to church." And he didn't like that. So everybody had a time boundary, though, that if I had upheld, we'd have been in a different place.
Maybe you would have moved away or they would have moved away, right? And
Exactly.
so what I hear there is protecting the schedule. So we talked about like if you're going to set a boundary, not going over it. And so let's dig into that a little bit more.
Yeah.
So here's just some real logical steps. Sign documents before deadline.
Hmm.
Why do we have 2 weeks for an inspection? In Colorado, it's called an inspection objection, right? When you're bringing, repair request, whatever it is in your state. Why are we waiting until day 13 of 14? Why are we
Mhm.
not getting the inspection scheduled earlier?
Oh, yes.
That just goes with anticipating contract deadlines. Really, on a buyer, our main one is inspection. Just start it sooner so you have stuff back because, right, you might need to get bids, you might need to do things. And so then we end up scrambling. I am not open to a deadline in a contract past 5 p.m.
Yeah.
I would prefer to be done by 3. That's when I'm working towards, right? Is getting done at 3. And so write contracts that give you breathing room, right? Like,
Right.
why are we, turning in inspection stuff on Friday and Monday's our day to remedy it? Why
Mhm.
are we forcing ourselves? How about we turn in what we want on a Monday and then we've got till Friday during business hours to get bids and talk and come together, right? So, whatever that inspection deadline, we have so much control that we do not take.
Mhm.
Look at how you're writing your offers. I will counter an 11:59 p.m. deadline all day, every day in a contract, and I ask my clients to. I am not signing that I'm going to be available. I go to bed at like 9 or 9:30. And so we just need to be more proactive in what we're writing and also
Mhm.
more proactive in what we're receiving. And the thing is if you've talked through all of this with your clients in your initial consult, they are ready for this. They are prepared to counter this. They are prepared to sign an extension. And so the one thing I don't have is, and that I'm working on, is to go with my schedule, but is just a little, bullet pointed list under that that just goes into more of we're going to extend. And I'm verbally talking about this, but I
Mhm.
am going to get it in writing. And so I think we've got to really protect our schedule.
The only thing that I've never heard another real estate person say that I think is golden, and I just had one, and I did it mistakenly. Never have a Monday closing. You will have the most horrible weekend
Hmm.
for one little bitty thing that has to be done by 2 o'clock on Monday. If
Well,
you
yeah, your
don't
final walk, when's
yes.
that happening? Now, I rarely have final walk problems.
Mhm.
I just had a thermostat that wasn't working, right? And guess
Mhm.
it was an early week closing. And so,
Mhm.
and maybe Ruthie, that's something that we can just workshop through together and give to these
Yeah.
ladies. It's just like some ideas on how to write a contract. Because it doesn't matter
Right.
what state you're in, you've got inspection, you've got appraisal,
Right.
right? 'Cause some of these major things. And
Right.
so we have way more control than we
Oh,
think
yeah.
that we do. So let's start exercising that.
Exactly.
What's the it's in Celebrate Recovery, but it's that prayer that's like, control what you
The
can, let go of what you can't, and
right.
know enough to know the difference, right? It's
Yes.
something like,
Yes. Exactly.
okay, this one, okay. And I'm talking, love you new agents that are listening, but my fifth tip here is distinguish urgent from important. Those are two
Yeah.
very, very, very different things because I think as agents, we just run around like a Tasmanian devil tornado thinking there's all these fires to be put out and it needs to happen immediately. And so there's a Bible verse that I love for this in Proverbs 14:15. The simple believe anything, but the prudent give thought to their steps. So, how much are we just believing what this industry or the world is telling us here? And I love this one too, Martha, right? We also, I want to be more like Mary, right? Less
Mhm.
like Martha. And so in Luke 10:41 to 42, Martha, Martha, and the Lord answered, you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, right? So
Mhm.
Martha's rushing around, getting her house fixed up because Jesus is coming. Like we have to all be able to see ourselves in Martha versus Mary's just sitting at his feet. And so I think that this is just a good lens to run through. You get a text, you look, you've accidentally looked after business. Is it urgent or important? Does it need to be taken care of? Urgent means I am dropping literally anything that I'm doing to take care of this.
Mhm.
Now, if it's the day of closing and you've got a final walkthrough issue and you have 2 hours to remedy said not working, HVAC system, okay, that probably falls in the urgent category, right? Or we're moving, closing, or major things are happening. I
Right.
would say 99 out of 100 things are important, not urgent. And most of the time, we cause our own urgency by not being proactive with our deadlines, by not
Right.
writing a contract that gives us breathing room. We are no longer in the COVID market where every deadline has to be insanely tight. We can have 2 weeks for inspection. right?
Right.
So why are we not ordering inspection when earnest money's getting delivered? So it's done
Mhm.
and we're moving forward, right? And so urgent versus important. And this is something that I think being in the business as long as I have been, I can see we're also just selling houses. So even the non-working HVAC system on a Monday morning closing in the scheme of life is not urgent. So
Right.
we also need to remember we are not EMTs saving lives,
Right.
right? We are selling houses. And so sometimes I just think we need to take a step back and our clients are going to get their energy and their level of urgency and concern directly from us. So
Right.
if we're a hot mess and oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening, la, 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 then guess what they're going to do? Oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening, la, 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 you know? And so I really want you ladies to just spend some time identifying that and
Yeah.
then put your important stuff where it fits in your schedule.
Mhm.
Your 9 to 4, your 9 to 5, your 10 to 7, whatever works for you in your season of life.
I love it. I'm with you. I think that we don't realize how much we have control over, and that's
Mhm.
something that I did learn fairly early on, especially when you talked about, having deadlines at, like, 11:59. I did that in the beginning because that's what everybody else was doing, and then somewhere along the line, somebody said something about, "I don't wanna be talking about this at 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. I'm not gonna put
No.
5 o'clock." And I thought, "Oh, okay."
What if it's
Yeah.
3 PM? You know, and what if we reach out to agents? Like I have an agent on a property right
Mhm,
now, and he said I'm gonna have the inspection resolution. This is a Colorado transaction. So when the
mhm.
repairs are agreed upon, and I have work starting tomorrow and I still don't have it. And
Right,
it's just like, why why are you making everybody's life so miserable, tracking you
right.
down, right? Just give documents and communicate, and you're gonna save yourself so much time and energy
Mhm.
and mental anguish.
Right.
Okay. And then what you need to do. So I know, so I looked up this actually as a statistic I looked up because Ruthie forgot her what she was talking about on the last episode. And this happens to me a lot too. 29% of entrepreneurs have ADD or ADHD
Oh,
versus the
yeah.
standard population of 4 to 5%. So a lot of y'all on here struggle with that. And I think
Oh, yeah.
part of my always answering at 9 PM, answering the email, answering the text is because I thought I might forget it and drop a ball. I'm pretty chill in real life, but in business, I hate dropping a ball.
Right.
I have always expected excellence, maybe to a fault, right?
I
And
agree.
so build a system so that nothing gets dropped. So your anxiety is not here. So here's some things that I do, and Ruthie, add if you have some.
Mhm.
Just mark your text as unread. If you read
Yeah.
them and you haven't answered, and then there's a little button that you can push and you can say, sort by unread. And then you can go through and answer 10 texts at one time
Yes.
instead of answering one text 10 at a time, which takes way more energy because as soon as you pick up that dang phone, you're on Facebook or somewhere else.
It is true.
Star your emails, same thing. You have read an email that requires something and you have not done it, star it. So you come back to it. And then guess what? Go hit unread in your emails and have email time. Calendar everything. If you ladies aren't calendaring everything, including meal prep, date night, exercise, plus showings, and I'm going to work on this project or that, everything needs to go on your calendar and everything
Mhm.
is an appointment. So I used to say, like, and I think you could still use this, but I've just got really honest with my clients. So I would used to say, I have an appointment then. That appointment could be with my husband, it could be for the gym. And now I'm just going to say, this is when I go to the gym. Like I'm
Right.
not even sugarcoating it anymore. I have a date night with my husband. Today is my birthday. I'm not working.
Mhm.
And again, but you have to be, if you got a deadline on your birthday, you better have taken care of it the day before or extended it, right? So there's always a solution that requires you being proactive. And then I have a cool system that I'm building that I'm going to be sharing with everybody is in Meister Task. And so this is
Mhm.
just software, a business organizing software. It could be an Asana or a Trello, but I really like Meister Task. But I have a to do list every single day, including Saturdays and Sundays. And so when something pops into my head, instead of doing it, I put it on my to do list. And again, then I have a time and I have a little, I call them cards, that is going to be my to do list time. And then I
Mhm.
hit 10 to do list items instead of doing them one at a time. The amount of time that I'm saving, mental energy, And I think what we do is we don't have a system. So we've got some things written in a notepad, we've got some things on a sticky note by our desk, we've got some stuff in our note app, and we don't have a system so we don't miss anything. But then when you
Mhm.
can take the mental load off of I don't want to drop a ball. All you need is a system and then you won't drop balls. So I'm just going to encourage you. That is my system and is working fabulous. And
Mhm.
then you need your system. That's what I told Ruthie. I was like, after these today, I literally have 10
Yeah.
items on my to do list for today, right? From an inspection resolution to writing a contract. I'm not going to do those one at a time. I'm going to do them all together.
Mhm.
Um, so that is it. So I think it's a lot. It's a lot to digest and it's going to take courage. It's going to take belief and faithfulness in God. But I will tell you the fruit on the other side of it, the peace, you get more joy, right? 'Cause you get more mental
Right.
freedom. It is so worth doing it. So I would just say this is an elephant, eat it one bite at a time.
Well, and I will say again, this is something I've talked about in podcasts before. This has helped me a ton. A little device called the Brick,
Mhm.
BRICK. That is it. It's like $50 or less. It is an actual device. Mine is on my refrigerator, but it has an app. You go into the app and you tell it what it's going to block. And mine goes off I think is at 10 o'clock at night. I think mine bricks Facebook, Instagram, all both of my emails, um, 50 things on my phone it blocks. I can't get
Mhm.
to them unless I get out of the bed and go all the way to the kitchen and touch my phone to the little device. That has freed up so much of my headspace in the
Amen.
evening, in the middle of the night, even in the morning, because when I first get up in the morning, I do go in the kitchen because I have to get coffee, but you have to actually go over and unbrick it. But I've talked to people who do things like they'll put them in their car because they're like, I'm not going to go out to my car in the middle of the night. So
Mhm.
I would say, even if you have to do something that you think it's stupid, that I can't just go to bed at night and put my phone down and not scroll. Doom scrolling, though, is way bigger than any of us ever give
Oh,
credence
absolutely.
to. Everybody does it that I know. Nobody wants to admit how much they're doing it, but they are doing it. So if you have to do something like spend $50 on a little thing called the brick, do it.
Absolutely. I love that. I still need to get that.
I love it.
Um, because again, we're just right. What I hope you ladies hear is we are just working and we are continually improving what we're doing in our business to get us in alignment and order with God. And because boundaries aren't necessarily about working less, although I think you will find if you put the
Right.
right boundaries in place, you will have more time freedom. But they're about
Agree.
working with intention. They're about partnering with God. They're making space for God and your family in your business, because I think once we get in order, we actually become more effective, not less. And
Okay.
so, whether that means you want to actually work less and enjoy those hours, or it means that you're going to grow your business but work the same amount of hours, I think both of those could be different positive benefits of doing this. And so I will tell you, my business has not yet suffered. It is healthier. I'm feeling more confident and comfortable about re entering selling because I'm just not willing to give back what God has healed. And so I'm just going to encourage you. And I would love to hear some stories, ladies. I would love to hear some stories
Yeah,
about how this worked and how maybe you quit believing some of the lies that this industry tells us that we have to do to be successful.
I agree. That would be we could do a podcast about that.
Yeah. So if this works for you, ladies, give us a shout and we'll bring
Let
you
us
on
know.
here. We want to hear your stories.
All right. Well, let me pray us out.
Sounds great.
Dear Heavenly Father, always thank you so much for our time together. God, I just pray that you'll take this. It's one of those things that can be, it's so fleeting time. And boundaries. They sound so good, so awesome. And then sometimes they're so hard to actually enforce. But I pray, God, that every person here listening, Lord, that you'll show us what it is that you need for us to do in our lives so that we have um, more space for you, more space for our family, the things that we enjoy doing, and the things that show others that we know you and love you. Lord, I pray that as we go out, that we speak your name and we show you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. And ladies, thank you so much for listening today. Please, like we said, drop a comment below. Let us know what part of this you're going to institute in your business. And if this episode spoke to your heart at all, please share with a friend. invite somebody into the Her Purpose Facebook community. We are so excited to see what God will do here, and we really need your help growing this community. We are so thankful. I'm just so thankful to be here today. So love y'all,
Agreed.
and we will see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.